Welcome to the Novel Universe with your hostesses Ashley and Dawn. We rate and review the newest and most buzzworthy books. We are true book club girls who don't always agree but do enjoy a good book discussion. I'm Ashley, the fantasy architect.
And I'm Dawn, the criticizer of books.
Grab your favorite beverage and come and enjoy our universe. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Novel Universe with your hosts, Ashley and Dawn. And today we are, like we said before, a little bit late to the party doing our mid-year freak out because apparently we spent too much time in the summer reading romance novels and beach reads. That's okay. It's fine. So if you are not familiar with what a mid-year freak out is, it's kind of like where we assess what we've read this year, how we've felt about things, and what we're really looking forward to reading the rest of the year. So we hope that you can use this as a guide in choosing your next book that you pick up for the remainder of 2021.
Yeah.
So to start, what is the best book that you have read so far, Dawn?
The best book I read so far is Jade City by Fonda Lee. I think I gave that a 4.75.
And that's pretty good for Dawn.
Yeah, that is very good for Dawn. That's adult fantasy.
Oh yeah.
Very good book. If you have not read it, highly. It's about it's a fantasy world with clans. So it's like it's set in, I don't know if it's Japan or China. But it's an Eastern Asian city where there are gangs essentially, and they're all fighting over jade, and it is a great book. So
that is on my TBR list to read that. I have had a few other books to read, but yeah, Dawn has been raving about Fonda Lee's books, so yeah, I need to get there. Well, my best read for 2021 so far is probably not going to be a surprise to Dawn, but for all of you listening, Ashley's favorite book was A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. This is the only book that I have given a solid 5-star rating this year too. So it is book 4 in A Court of Thorns and Roses series, and it is adult fantasy. It is not teen fantasy at all. It is really, really good. It follows characters Cassian and Nesta in their whole story. So if you have not read anything that she has written in that series, check it out before you get to that one, because it's definitely a book 4.
Cool.
So, all right, next question is favorite sequel of the first half of the year?
So mine is Mr. Impossible by Maggie Stiefvater, which is book 2 in the Dreamer series. Book 1 was called Down the Hawk. Awesome. Very good. I think I gave it a 4.5.
Okay.
It's a short book, but it is quite dense. And I do think it is a book club book. It needs to be a buddy read, because there were moments where I was like, what? But I had to like think about it. And I did do a whole review on YouTube. So if you want to check out my whole review of it, you can. What about yours?
Mine was actually Namesake by Adrienne Young. That was my favorite sequel, I think, of this year. We were both very excited to read book 2 in that series. And yeah, it was, for me, it was better than Claire's book that we read, just because Adrienne Young just does a really great job at giving you a story that you've never read before. And so I think that she did a really good job summing that up, and I applaud her for having duologies versus us being in the realm of like, we're now in book 4 or 5 of a series. I applaud her for doing that. So I think I gave it a 4.5 actually. 2.5.
I don't remember. I gave it a 4.25. You probably gave it higher.
I think I gave it a 4.5 or somewhere around right by you. I definitely didn't give it a 5 though. So, okay. New release that we haven't read yet, but are super excited for.
I didn't have anything for this. I usually am the type of reader where if I'm going to read it, I'm going to read it. If I'm not, I'm not, and I'll read it. So I read everything that I've been excited for.
Okay. Yeah, so for me, it actually is The Last Legacy by Adrienne Young. She is just an author that I've come to really enjoy. And her book actually comes out in a month. So I'm really excited for that. I know it's not kind of like it's not already out yet.
So this is why, okay, so I interpreted that question differently than you.
Okay.
I interpreted it as a book that's already been released.
Okay.
That I haven't read. But I could, but then that question is the next one, most anticipated release. So I was confused by that question. So
yeah, so I had two, so I kind of just split it up for the second one. So for the second, the next question is the most anticipated release for the second half of the year.
For me, it is Empire the Vampire by Jay Kristoff. We will be reading that for the pod. We will be taking the entire month of September because it is almost 800 pages, I think. And yeah, it's his, like, I'm reading the Aurora series. We're both reading that, but this is his next book by himself since Nevernight. Thank you. Love Nevernight. So yeah, I'm excited. And it's a male protagonist this time, which I'm interested because his protagonists are usually females.
He writes really good female protagonists. Like, does such a great job. Yeah, that is my most anticipated read of this year, just because he never let me down. So I'm excited. I'm excited to see what this book is about. And for it being as long as it is, he is trying to saddle us up for our next big old series that that he's got cooked up there. All right. So biggest disappointment so far this year?
Instructions for Dancing by Nicola Yoon. I love Nicola Yoon. I loved The Sun Is Also a Star. That was one of my favorite YA books of all time. And I had very high hopes for this because I like her writing. And she's a good romance writer, but I think I gave this 3.5. I didn't give it a low rating, but I was like expecting this to be like a 4.5, 5, and it didn't happen.
Yeah, for me, my biggest disappointment was actually Lore. And I say that because I was a really big fan of Alexandra Bracken when I was in my teen years. And so when she came out with a new book, I was like, yes, I haven't read anything by her in a really long time. It's going to be good. The cover is gorgeous, by the way. You know, so when we read it, I was just like, I was so disappointed because I felt like, you know, one of your childhood heroes has just like taken their cape away. And it was just so sad.
Oh,
it was so sad. Yeah. So let's see. Okay. Favorite new to you book or debut author?
Fonda Lee. They wrote Jade City. Yeah. She's a good writer.
So me, it was actually The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. Like I haven't read anything by him, and I was like, all right, I'm all for it. Some of these male authors really surprise you in their just way that they can tell a story. Because I feel like a lot of the books that we read are women authors. And so to see it from a male's point of view and to have them write it, I'm always blown away because I feel like it's like that whole women never know what men are thinking and men never know what women are thinking. And so they do their best to interpret it. And so I think he did a really good job because he also wrote a female protagonist as well. So, all right. Who is your favorite love story from this year?
Okay, so technically this is not a love story, but I'm wishing it to be. And it is Cordelia and Thomas from Chain of Iron. I know she does not end up with him, but I want them to be together. And so I'm just going to say it.
So for me, it's actually Quinn's books. So Julia Quinn writes the Bridgerton series. Ashley has down like 4 Bridgerton books. So for me, my favorite love story is actually from A Viscount Who Loved Me, which is book 2, basically, in that series.
Really? Because what's his name? Anthony?
Mm-hmm.
Anthony sucks butt in the show. And I am not looking forward to season 2 because it's all about him. So that's interesting.
Well, it's kind of up there from like With an Offer from a Gentleman, which is Benedict's story.
Okay.
Either one of those, honestly, like I have just ate them up and I'm not ashamed to say it. I really have. Okay, so who is your favorite character thus far?
This was tough. I had to really think about it. And mostly it's because I've only read like 28 books so far, which was really bad for me. But
I read like 32 and I was like, which one do I choose?
I know.
I had to write them all out. I had to write all of mine out because I had such a hard time.
Oh, I had the opposite. I couldn't really think of anyone that was like standout. So I chose Erida from Realmbreaker. Okay. I found her to be quite an interesting character, and I don't think I'm going to continue to read the next book, but if I was, it would be because of her.
Yeah. So, for sure. So I chose Zoya Nonzelinsky from Rule of Wolves.
Okay.
I really enjoyed her story and just the way that Verdugo kind of summed up that whole thing for us. She, to me, is just like, I just wanted her to be my best friend. She was great.
I thought about her, but I didn't put her because I had issues with that ending. But
I know, but at the same time, she's such a feisty woman. Such a feisty woman. Because I also was struggling with Chain of Iron and our characters from there as well. Yeah. Okay, so a book that made you cry.
No books made me cry this year, man. Which is a shocker because I'm a crybaby. I didn't have anything.
No, the only thing that came a little close for me where I was a little emotional was Midnight Library. And I'm not going to say anything more. It's a really, really, really good book. And it really makes you think about life. And so I put that, I didn't cry. I cried with Addie LaRue. Like I definitely cried for that book. Yeah. But this one is more of like, I was emotional in a different sense. So whatever. Okay. A book that made you happy.
Got nothing.
No.
Nope.
I wish you guys could see Dawn's face.
I'll put this on YouTube. They'll see my face.
Okay. So a book that made me happy is Isn't It Romantic by Lisa K.
I knew that was going to be the one if I was going to pick one, but I didn't.
Okay. Yeah, no, she just does such a good job that her books they're so lighthearted that you just want to snuggle up with it and you're excited to read it. So yeah, definitely made me happy. Okay, this will be interesting because I'm curious to hear what you have to say. What are 6 books that you want to read by the end of this year, Dawn?
Well, I only could come up with 5, I think. Yeah. So Aurora's End, which is book 3 in the Aurora Rising. The Last Legacy by Adrian Young. Jade City and Jade War, Jade City is book 1. Book 2 and book 3 of that series. I will get to them eventually.
I feel like we might need to read that series together.
You got to read book 1 first.
I know. I'll just do it. It's fine.
Okay. And Into the Dying Light, which is book 3 in the There Will Come a Darkness series.
Okay. I have yet to read Katie Rose Bull's series yet.
I know. I've been trying to get you to do it, but you haven't.
Okay, well, I might because there's, whatever. It's fine. So for me, my most books that I want to read are Empire the Vampire, The Last Legacy, The Bronzed Beast, which is book 3 in the Gilded Wolves series by Roshni Chachki. Dawn is not a fan of her. I am. I will be reading it. It's fine. I keep seeing The Witch's Heart by Genevieve Gornish. That looks really good to me. And Aurora's End as well.
Cool.
I have 6. And The Last Legacy. Did I say that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
All right.
There's our mid-year freak out. Woohoo! So we'll be curious to see if we actually read all those books or not.
I will try. I think Into the Dying Light is going to be my next book
Okay.
that I read.
Yeah, I'll have to start from book one there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still trying to decide if I want to finish Shelby Mahiran's Blood and Honey series.
I won't be, but more power to you.
Gods and Monsters. I'm debating real hard if I read it or not. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see. But yeah. That has been our mid-year freak out, and we hope that you enjoyed it. And we'll catch you in the next podcast.
Bye-bye.
Bye.